Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal. We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom.
We share struggles, we brainstorm solutions.
And we would love to have you join us. Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to episode 88.
88.
88.
Double eight?
Double eight.
Eight.
I've named this one Holy Behavior Issues Batman because it just felt right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were having behavior issues? Are you?
I've heard that other people are, but of course
On
my
occasion.
students are angels.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any angels this year?
Do I have some?
Yeah.
Oh, like actual children named angels?
Yeah.
Several, yes.
Okay,
I think
surprisingly,
I have 3.
We've kind of like lost our angels.
Oh.
But like it's also fitting sometimes. Like, but like, yeah, you have several? Okay.
I have several,
okay.
yes. One of them it definitely lives up to his name.
Okay.
I have to say. I've
But
had
in the
some in the past
ironic
that have
or in
not.
the actual?
No, like for real.
Actual. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel, have we talked
very
about this?
trustworthy.
Have we talked about this? I feel
How
like
angels are usually not.
anyone with like a name that is like a heavenly name is
Like
typically
Jesus.
or Nevea or Grace.
There you go.
I got a Jesus. I got that. Zeus. Oh yeah. But like we got several kids. Yeah. And like, it's just like, I feel like there's always, because we give you this wonderful name, you are deserving of this loveliness.
Yeah.
Manuel, I got Manuel, but he's solid good.
He's good. He's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a good one too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. God with us.
God with us.
Sometimes we need a manual.
Sometimes we do. Oh
So,
my goodness.
holy behavior. So how is it? How is it this year with your behaviors?
Okay. I feel so I have one class in particular that is just the most difficult cohort of children I've ever taught in my 16 years of teaching. They are
what grade are they?
hard. They're 4th grade.
4th grade. Okay, fascinating.
Yeah.
My 4th graders are great.
Yeah.
But continue.
Love
Sure.
that for you. My 3rd graders are amazing. My 5th graders are amazing. And what's frustrating is that this class was amazing too. It's just like we've got this combination of personalities and you put them in a room together and they just don't always feed off of each other in the best way. And we end up with a lot of challenges.
Okay.
And the way that I tend to cope with things is by over researching it and trying to rationalize why is this the way it is. I just find comfort in that.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone.
No.
Exactly.
No, and it was really interesting when I was reading because I found
Tell me
that
your data.
I will tell you the data. So I was reading an EdWeek survey, and they said that 70% of teachers had reported back from their survey that they're facing more challenging behaviors post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Which tracks, feels right.
Yeah,
you know?
makes sense.
Yeah. And they was saying it's hard to say in particular, like if the children are, worse with behavior than past generations, but we do know that mental health and anxiety
certainly
are that's like objectively provable.
Yeah.
That they have worse mental health and higher anxiety than their parents or grandparents. So we have plenty to back that up.
I would like to add a little caveat than their parents and their grandparents when they were their age as well, because I think a big portion, I mean, this is all anecdotal and also postulate, but like you're talking about 4th grade, they were in kindergarten when COVID first hit. And like a lot of those parents during that developmental time, they also probably went through a lot of trauma themselves. And so so I think that contextualizes the behaviors one on. It's just that like they are struggling, but also currently maybe their parents are also, as we all did. Yeah. Going through a lot.
Well, and families were already going through a lot before the pandemic. Then everything just kind of hit the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're facing nationwide teacher shortages, and it's just getting worse. I think we can't look away from that anymore. I was reading up, so a researcher from Kansas State University, Tuan Nguyen, just published these findings that, so there were, and there's not perfect data everywhere because not every district, reports their data.
Of course.
But from what he found, 36,000 teacher vacancies in 2022, and in 2023, that number was at 55K. It's a 53% increase in what they found just in the same area, and it's only going up. And they also found that about 10% of people in teacher positions are underqualified for the job, because districts are just trying to fill positions with whoever they can grab. And so it's like we already have we have worse mental health, we have less funding, we have less people who are willing to do the job because it's really hard.
And I'm going to throw a caveat in there. We're also in public education, we're losing a lot of students. And so that's going to affect the district funding on how they can fund first off, not just general ed teachers, but us as well.
Yeah. Losing students to private education or homeschooling, or charters, et cetera, et cetera. And overall, like, there's a huge shuffle that's happening in education. It's concerning. It is concerning. Yeah. I know something's going to have to change because the trajectory that we're on is not a good one.
And it doesn't, I was sitting in the lounge, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes not a great thing.
Right.
There's a certain cohort of teachers that just oftentimes like, oh man, you need a hug.
I know.
And mind you, actually at the moment, this group of people, I would say their cohort, or the cohort of their teaching is a very, very, very challenging one. But, they're like, one of the teachers was just talking about, we should just bring in some student teachers and like into our classes and show them what we have to deal with and have them assess, is this really the job you want? It's like, why do you want that profession? Why do you want to scare people away? Yes, it's hard, but I don't know. I feel like there is this...
we need the ones with the fresh energy.
We need fresh energy, and also, like, we don't want to scare them away.
No, we don't.
This is an important profession.
We do need to do a better job at equipping them.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. But I just feel like there's this overall stink mentality that, like, it's just like a lot of teachers are just kind of burnt.
Totally burned out.
And so you scaring the next generation ain't going to help.
It's not going to help. It's not going to help, but we do need help.
We do need help.
Yeah,
certainly.
like in a big way. So I was thinking, we already had all these mental health concerns. The pandemic hit, definitely exacerbated an already existing problem. And it's so tricky because we go through our teacher education programs, and the focus is on psychology, learning acquisition, best teaching practices. And I feel like there have been so many days in the last couple of years where I'm lucky if I get to teach. It's just a constant managing, putting out fires. You almost have to be superhuman. Like, you have to be able to read the energy in the room and head off the storms before they get too big, because once they get started, there is no standing in their way.
And it doesn't help when San Diego has actual physical storms. And then that just throws their behavior off even more,
Do you need to tell your story?
Oh, man. So in San Diego, we weather is rarely a thing.
Yeah. Like, it's beautiful outside right now.
It's nice.
It's
but about
beautiful.
2 weeks ago from recording, we had a tornado warning, which is... like, what?
So weird. But that's not a thing.
But then again,
we've had 2 earthquakes this week, but
but with weather changing, and we live by the coast, it's gonna happen. So we had a tornado warning. First off, how is that with you?
Oh, the tornado warning. So I follow this guy that has a total cult following on Facebook and Twitter, and he basically said, "Ignore it." He's really sassy.
Okay, fair enough.
So I was like, "Oh, okay, we're good."
Well, we had a shelter in place, and the tornado warning went into my other file, not my main file for the emails. So I didn't know what the shelter in place was about. Is this gonna, is there a shooter that's 2 miles away? Because shelter in place is a pretty broad thing.
It is. It could be that. It could be like, and we're so close to military bases. Exactly. It could be like a chemical thing in the air. Like, you never know.
You never know. And so, like, all right, I reached I had 5th grade. 5th grade is, 5th grade.
Shelter in place is like you close the classroom door and you keep teaching, basically.
Turn off the air condiending. If you can.
Yeah, because it might be an air quality thing.
Exactly.
You don't know.
So after like about 20 minutes, fortunately, like my kids had laptops because they were working on creating music digitally. And so I was like, all right, this is a way for them to be distracted and whatnot. But then it starts getting into their lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
And they're waiting. They're not allowed to leave the classroom
and
because
they're
hungry. Thankfully, I had some solutions for that, but like overall, like they were waiting and waiting and waiting hours. Like it was about an hour we waited, and we didn't know when it was going to end. Yeah. And so students were asking, "I gotta pee. It's like, can you hold it?" It's like, no, I gotta pee. And so we've all been given a black bucket. And so I also have, thankfully, kindly, Joshua Block lent me his silhouette screen so that like he doesn't have to lug it from Arizona.
So it came in handy.
Yeah. So I said, all right, boys, you are not going to stand up. I don't want any spray and pray going on here. Yeah. So they thankfully it was all what I like to call number 3, not number 1. And we by the 5th one, this kid comes like, "It smells awful." It's like, yeah, it's urine. What do you expect? And you don't drink enough water, so it would just permeate the whole classroom.
So gross, John.
And the thing is, so they give you this black bucket, this kitty litter to absorb it. There's also a liner, but I forgot to put on the liner.
Oh my gosh.
So we finally, it was this terrible smell.
I'm so sorry, listeners. I did not know where this story was going.
There's also the way this classroom is built, the windows don't open.
Oh, John.
And so so after they finally go to lunch, no one did a mess in the classroom.
That's good.
They bring it. It's like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this junk? So thankfully, the custodian gave me 2 trash bags. I dumped in there and just ugh.
That's so nasty. Ew.
But you know what? It was the next day we had a rain day schedule, and all the kids said, and I was in that class. I had to deliver some paperwork to the teacher, and I do a little jingle. At least you don't gotta pee in a bucket, and we all start singing it. And one kid's like,
gosh.
I did that yesterday. I was trying to save your dignity, but not talking about that. But anyway, that was.
And they're proud to claim it.
They're proud.
Kids are so weird.
Kids are weird.
They're so self-conscious about some stuff, and then others are like, "Oh, it was me."
Let's not hold each other's hands, but we can talk about our pee problems. Anywho, that was a great tornado warning.
That's a lovely story. Thank you. This has been Storytime with Mr. Seligman.
Cheers.
Cheers. Tune in next week.
Down the hatchet.
Oh, gross. So,
all right, back to
the hatchet. Yeah, that's like a.
Yeah.
Let's get back to behavior issues.
Back to our regular topic.
Back to our regular topic. Okay, so I had never really dealt with behavior issues on the scale that we have in our district until I moved to our district. I started out teaching in an inner city high school, and sure, there were different challenges, but they were bigger kids and they were ensembles, so they signed up for them.
Sure.
They wanted to be there. So it was not perfect. I definitely had a lot to learn. I was a brand new teacher, but it didn't feel insurmountable,
Right.
I could kind of win everybody over and we could get stuff done. And then when I taught in a private school, it's you have so much support. And the kids came from homes with a lot of support as well. And so they were just really well-adjusted kiddos. And then when I first came to Finney, it was just so different. They're smaller kids, they're younger kids. Yep. They don't have any kind of tools already being developed. And then we have a really low-income population with a lot of challenges. And so I had to learn a lot on the fly, and I thought that I already knew a lot, but I didn't. I had a lot.
As we learn.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was like, I have 8 years of teaching experience.
Excuse me.
Not everything. Nope, you don't. This is a different gig than you had before. And so, I didn't know what to do when kids tried to elope, or if they just, cussed you out to your face.
By the way,
throw chairs.
Powerful. By the way, since I've learned we have a couple of non-education listeners. Eloping is not kids marrying and then running off. It's them.
Right, they're not flying to Fiji.
They're leaving the classroom.
Yes, eloping is the term for running out of the classroom.
Fiji, gosh,
that's funny. Yeah. I didn't deal with any of that before. And now being called different names, and colorful names, and having chairs thrown and kids running out of the room, that's a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
It was not daily before the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was maybe monthly. I would say there was maybe one kid in every other class that I really struggled with, that I had a hard time winning over. But if I ever needed to, if an administrator walked in the room, they would all turn it on and they would be in.
Yeah.
I could engage everybody in the room with regularity. Post-pandemic, I can't.
Part of me wonders, I've actually said this quote before on this podcast, but there's a reel that happened, and this kid was like, can you be like an adult? So the teacher's talking to a student and it's like, can we be like an adult and follow directions? And the kid says, why would I want to be like an adult when I see, and it's the thing was, sorry, I'm telling this joke terribly. There was a punchline there, but the idea was the kids witnessed their parents, witnessed the whole situation just kind of falling apart. So when you're seeing your role models or just not following instructions either, why should the students? I think it trickles down and whatnot.
Oh, it totally does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, because I feel like tell me if you witness it differently. I feel like there's this notion of following instructions, or for lack of a better term, I don't like the term respect because it's too broad or too interpreted differently, but the element of respecting authority is just kind of out the window.
Yeah, there's that. I think that also we've learned that corporal punishment is not a good way to raise a human.
Sure. Yeah.
And I will say that fear as a discipline tactic is effective in squashing unwanted behaviors.
Certainly.
Because people are then afraid to act out. It certainly doesn't make them grow and have intrinsic motivation, but you're going to walk into a quiet room if kids are afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's going to look like things are getting done. You cannot be in that state of fear and learn, though, because you're in your amygdala.
Yep.
And that's your fight or flight. So you have to feel safe in an environment in order to learn. But at the same time, we've got all of these behavior issues, and it's a very stressful environment in a lot of classrooms right now. And so we're all up in our amygdalas,
yeah.
Because we're putting out so many fires all the time.
Constantly.
So we have not found that balance yet. It's like we got rid of an old system, but we don't have enough support for the new system. And I think that that's where we're getting stuck. And I've said this so many times. We need more humans. We need more trained humans.
And also, I would like to say that there's a lot of people,
Adults.
even though, yes, let's be adults here.
Yes, more adults.
But specifically also, like, you're talking about the transition between two systems. I feel like also with, as our district, or at least my school has been focusing a lot more on restorative justice. I don't know if people know how to properly do that.
If they know what it is, even.
Or, they have an idea of it. Kind of similar to whenever Darlene talks about SEL. People have an idea what SEL is, but teaching
and it's almost a dirty word.
Well, partially it's almost a dirty word, but also a lot of older, once again, certain teachers that are of older, more stubborn age, or just obstinate. Obstinate's a better word. This is another new thing to learn that's going to change in 10 years, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, actually, restorative justice, when done properly, is a good thing. It is a good thing. Really effective. But I don't know if everyone who is forced to be on the same page knows how to effectively do it.
Right.
They're kind of, I can't punish my kids the way I used to.
Yeah.
And they want to, and also they see restorative justice as an ugly word because they don't know how to do it properly, because all they recognize was how to do it before.
Right. They don't have the proper training. Yeah. And so they don't have a strong replacement.
And even if they were trained, would they really absorb it?
And we don't have time to get trained. That's the other thing. It's like all these systems change, and there's all these new teaching practices you're supposed to put into place, and you're supposed to learn all this stuff about behavior and be up on the modern research, but we're not paid for that. It's like you have to show up and do your job, and why are your test scores going down? It's like, well, because we're lucky if we get to actually teach throughout the course of a day, because the kids need more help, and we don't have enough to give them. So, and have you seen an increase in behaviors in your classroom post-pandemic?
Definitely.
Yeah. What does that look like for you? I'm curious, because you teach in a slightly different,
it
school.
is different demographic for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's sue.
Let's sue. Ha.
Ha. I would say for me, there is just a constant sense of students just talking and sharing and sharing. And it's not necessarily like they're not, it's not out of like malice necessarily, or like certain students, it's definitely like, I don't care what's going on. Like, okay, it is what it is. My one cohort has been a really difficult cohort since they were in kindergarten. And as they're super old at the moment, there's a sense of understanding between the two of us, but they still just, they are what they are. But like, I don't like that. That's a very sad phrase. But anyways, but for a lot of students, they just like to share and they like to talk, and they see a video, for example. I'm showcasing a video. This really upsets my art teacher, but like we see a video and they feel the need to comment. They need to share. They need to state something. It's as if it's like, they're watching something on Twitch, like just responding. They're typing the chat. I get it. I get it. I understand why. But especially for music as an auditory art, we gotta make sure our comments are at 0 so we can really hear all the fine details.
Absolutely.
So this sense that there's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of students just in their world is their world.
Yeah.
And when they're checked out, they're checked out.
Totally.
Very much. And so That's broadly the behaviors I'm facing at the moment. It's attention. It's attention, and it's also I want to do what I want to do, and it's
and you can't make me do anything else.
And why would I want to do?
Why would I want to do anything else?
Convince me why I should be part of this.
Yeah,
is a lot of that, and.
Yeah, and when they spend so much time on their screens and it's so much more stimulating and they get so many more rewards from playing video games, and you get that nice little dopamine hit from all those fun things. Like, why would you want to live in the real world? That's a lot more boring.
It's interesting. I have a teacher, an upper grade teacher, who has his kids during recess. They can play on the computers. And there's been a lot of push, like a lot of other teachers don't like it. I see what the teacher's doing. Like a lot of students, they don't connect with students when they're on the recess playgrounds. And so them being on their computers isn't a way of like pacifying them, but like there's also a way that the students can connect through the digital means. I think there's a balance though is the issue. I think there's this the people who are upset, it's like don't really realize that there's a really great way that students can connect through technology. Yeah. But also
those relationships are meaningful. We need to not write them off.
Very much so. Digital relationships are real.
They are.
But also like this is the time that students can actually, like, even though they might not feel comfortable in the analog space, this is their time to actually learn how to
put the screen down and talk to a human
and face that discomfort. But they don't know
how. I actually did some research and I found I found a curriculum for teaching. It's directed towards small kids, but teaching kids what to do on the playground, and I've adapted it. And I went through it with my older kids because I saw so many of them just didn't know what to do. And we found too that it's really helpful if we have multiple activities that are available to them. Like I'll try to hang out in the garden when I can, with Pokemon cards and battle kids, like at the tables in the garden, or the custodian is super awesome. He'll play soccer with the kids. And then there's an adult on the field. It's really good. Or we'll teach them a basketball game, like, around the world or whatever. Just, they need something specific to do. And then they can look at those things. It's like all that undirected time that's where we start to have problems. It's like they don't spend enough time just making up their own games that they don't even know where to start.
That's another issue, like making up games, which is not. So this whole school rules, like I understand why there's school rules. If someone, I loved wall ball growing up. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And I always talk to students because the VAPA team is in charge of teaching playground rules.
Yeah.
During this second week or something.
Sure.
And we talk about school rules, and it's always like I'm biting my lip because I understand why school rules are needed. In 5th grade, I was kind of a butt, and I created my. I know. I created my own rules, and I lost friends in process. And I share that actually with the students. But also the element of having kids create their own rules, and also as long as everyone gets along. And create their own games as long as everyone gets along, and creating your own games was such a really important part in my playground life. And it's like I understand why we have to have school rules, but it's also sad that it's limiting students to create their own games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a platform. And that's a pedestal for another thing. But.
I mean, I think that's why we need PE teachers, because those are actually standards. The kids make up their own games. They teach creativity with movement, and it's important. The kids need that.
What I'm hearing is that we need more trained adults.
Yes. Can I just get a T-shirt with that on it? That would be great, because
we also, I think, we need more trained adults, but not just, I think we as teachers forget that yes, we need more trained adults, boots on ground, but we also, as much as we like to throw fists at administration, they do a really important job.
Oh yeah.
And I think we forget that we need more administrators that know what they're doing and are also respectful to teachers, but also we need them so that they can help disseminate all the information more.
Yes.
So it's not just boots on ground, it's everything. Our whole system needs more people, trained people.
It's so true. And that actually leads really well to my next question. What does your school do to kind of set expectations what do you guys have? Because at Finney, it's like all over the school: be kind, be safe, be responsible. Everything is that. We have posters in the hallway like, this is how you're kind, safe, and responsible in the hallway, and in the library, and in the bathroom, and in line for lunch. And it's nice. And I've aligned all my classroom rules with it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I'm like, here at Finney, we got to be kind, be safe, be responsible. What that looks like in music class: be responsible, be a first-time listener, be safe, stay in your bubble, be kind, keep your words, actions, and expressions kind. If you do all of that, you will, rule number 4, elevate our ensemble. And it takes like 30 seconds and then we're off. So do you guys have something like that?
We do. I remember after my first principal, we decided to update them. We did responsible, safe, and I forget, we did 3 as well, similar to y'all. And
more than that, it's just hard to remember.
We did 5. It was upgraded to 5.
Okay.
Which was aligned with the YMCA.
Okay.
Core values
helpful.
plus also 1, I think was what it was. Unfortunately, I'm being a very bad Casillas comment and not remembering each of them.
Oh no.
But something that is often talked about is you hear it all the time: expectation by location, and understanding that we have an expectation depending on where you are at. And when you're in line,
that's snappy. I like it. We should turn it into a song.
We could. Or you could.
You
Listener,
could. Expectation by location.
Expectation by location.
This feels like a rap.
I don't know. I like syncopated stuff.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah. So that's one thing that's really drilled into our kids' heads. Like expectation by location.
I like
Understand where you are. Understand what you're supposed to be doing at that place.
That's a good one. And I think having that unified language is so important.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, the unified language needs to happen unifiedly, unified
in
way.
A unified manner.
I was trying to do a one-word thing, but it just fell apart. You
were just making stuff up over there.
And of course, we have teachers that really do hone in on that, and we have teachers that just don't.
Right. When the whole staff buys in, you always win.
Yep.
Always. Because the kids know what's up. They know like, oh, okay, I'm on school campus. This is the rules. Yeah.
And I feel like my current administrator, she is very hands off, because she respects that each teacher does a great job and is able to do their own job. But also, when there is more hands off, you lose that unification element. And so, yeah, some teachers, they do a great job having the kids walk in a quiet straight line.
Others not so
some
much.
teachers, like their responses, there's only so many battles I can fight. And so it's like,
yeah, you have to fight that one early and often. Yeah.
So I try really hard to make sure kids are walking at least in a straight line. Quiet is preferred.
Yeah.
Depending on which cohort it is. But
yeah, that's where my voice amplifier sure comes in handy. Yeah. Okay. So what I decided to do with my 4th graders, who are just super, super hard. I'm so grateful that I have good relationships with so many of my colleagues on campus.
It's important.
It matters so much. Like going back to talking in the teacher's lounge, you got to hang out with them.
Yes, you do.
You need to get to know them, and they need to get to know you and know that you're a real person, and then you recognize that it's teamwork.
It's one thing I really appreciate. Like, wasn't the focus this year, or it was last year? Mark, I'm so sorry if I got wrong. But one thing that Mark really honed in on was like, we need to make sure that we are well connected with our community, or communities if you're in 2 schools. Or if you're at some districts where
it's
you get 8
schools. That's hard.
But
I had a harder time getting to know my colleagues even when I was at 2 schools.
Yeah, so, it is. I recognize that. I recognize that.
Yeah.
But it is so vital.
It really
especially
is.
For the advocacy of our program, and also for not just like the existence of our program, but for the daily
for
nuts
your
and
sanity.
bolts. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be able to communicate with them. So what I decided to do was I talked to my colleagues and I said, hey, I'm trying something new with 4th grade today, but if it doesn't work, are you willing to adopt a 4th grader for an hour, and I'll send them with a alternate activity to your classroom. They just need a quiet spot to sit. And I had a list of everybody I asked said yes, because they're amazing. So I had a list of 10 of them, had their contacts like loaded up on my phone, ready to go, and just stacked up my alternate assignment packets, and I only had to do it twice in 2 different classes.
Sorry, backtrack. So you're saying to the 4th grade teachers, you asked
Not the
No.
fourth grade teachers, because that's their release time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
like,
okay.
I hate calling the teachers. That is like an emergency only situation.
Yes.
Yeah. If I really feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what else to do, then I know I have enough support from them that they will totally come and rescue. But I try to only do that maybe once a year.
So you're saying to other grade levels.
Yeah. So I had the kindergarten teachers, second grade teachers, fifth grade teachers, sixth grade teachers. They were all on board.
Do you try to pair up? I guess you're specifically talking about fourth grade, but
yeah.
I was wondering if you paired up upper grade with lower grade, but
sometimes, but also with some of these kiddos, like the second grade teachers were like, oh yeah, they were all in my class. Send two, okay. I'll talk to them, they feel like they're their kids.
Cool.
So yeah, it was really great. And so I felt good about that. And
what kind of work
positive
do you give them?
So I always try to do a lot of music listening. And that's another thing I found. I have expectations for everything. And I have posters all over my room with like, when we listen to music, this is what you do. 1, sit quietly. 2, have an open mind. 3, be respectful. And 4, be ready to share. Pay attention to what makes an impression on your emotions. And then I give them sentence frames, like you can share, I noticed, or I wonder. And then I have them share with an elbow buddy. I have them share in quads, and then we share as a class. And when we're speaking, we have to be active listeners. You number off. I go first, you go second, or 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to speak in complete sentences. You look at the person who's speaking, make eye contact with them, add to what they say. Don't just listen, say yes and. I have a rubric that's like, this is a 1-star conversation, a 2-star conversation, a 3-star conversation. Like we drill it for a long time. And that is the only way that it's successful, because otherwise they don't know what to do.
Sure.
They don't talk to each other enough, and they certainly don't text in complete sentences. And I feel like it's my job to kind of lay that foundation for how to speak articulately, how you use academic language and how you make eye contact with a person. And one of the things that they can do with me to say hello, one of the like greetings on my door, is a handshake. And if they choose handshake, I teach them a proper handshake,
Okay.
So I'm always trying to make those little things, like sneak them in however I can. Yeah. How did I get here?
Wait, worksheet though.
Worksheets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my gosh, that was
It's okay.
ADHD. Okay, so we've been doing listening, and this month I've been playing a lot of different examples of the national anthem.
Okay.
My favorite, and I think it's the best live version of the national anthem of all time ever, is the 1991 Super Bowl with Whitney Houston. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. And she's on the field with the entire Florida Symphony Orchestra, and it's simple. And I can't believe she did it without inner monitors or it's not even a wireless microphone, and it's just her and a mic and the symphony. And it's so powerful. And her stage presence, she just fills up that whole stadium. So anyway, we've been listening to the national anthem, and I have packets about the national anthem and the history behind it and what an anthem is, and design your own Star Spangled Banner, or if you were going to write a song for your family or for you, what's important to you, what would you include? So it definitely is enough to fill up an hour.
Gotcha.
If they do it right.
If.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, if. It's interesting too, because some of those kiddos, they're goofing off and they're causing problems because they're bored and they're super smart.
That's often the thing. They are smart. The ones that get under your skin.
Your most challenging ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they find really creative ways to
they're just
be difficult.
Yeah. Well, they're creative, yes, and also just like they're just checked out, and they
are
know
checked out.
That their brain can be activated in a way that they want it to be activated.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's always good to read what they write. I think hey, the alternate activity is not wasted.
Yeah.
The rest of the kids I put into centers, and we do centers, and we can talk about that
sure.
more later.
Let's
maybe in another episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so I've been doing a deep dive into behavior this year. I've been trying to read at least one new thing, a book or a couple of articles, or watch some videos about how to deal with oppositional kids. And so I did a review of some things that I found helpful that I wanted to share.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Have you heard of the functions of behavior? The 4 functions of behavior?
If you say it, might kick it back.
By our BF Skinner is the psychologist who came up with it. So he said that there's
my grad school, program. Hopefully, that's now kicking in.
I don't remember learning it in grad school. I might have. It's been a long time. But it was good for me to review. I feel like this is just information that's floating out there in the collective consciousness, and I don't know where I first heard it. But anyway, that's the name, Skinner. Okay, so. You've probably heard like behavior is communication, right? Like every single thing that a person does is to communicate something. And so Skinner said that it was 1, sensory stimulation, 2, escape, 3, attention, or 4, access to tangibles. So either like something that they want or access to a person that they want to have access to. And so asking that, okay, why is this happening? It's so easy to go into fight or flight yourself as a teacher. Like you're trying to take care of 30 people, and then this one's spinning off and this one's spinning off and this one's blurting out and this one's talking to their neighbor, and it's like, why are you doing this to me? And it's like, if you can just take a beat and figure out, okay, what do they want,
right? What
are they trying to communicate? It just is helpful. I mean, I feel like the eloping, that's clearly escape.
Sure.
Why though? Why doesn't the classroom feel safe? And then if you can start there, then you can figure it out. Like, is it an interpersonal thing with another person in the class? Is the room too loud and they have a sensory, reaction, and maybe we need to get them some ear protection?
Certainly, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I think first off, one thing that kicks in is the fact that, I know that doing grad school before teaching was like, cool, I have these ideas, these theories, and like, oh yeah, I remember B.F. Skinner. I remember this coming back to me, but it's like, until we're in practice, it's like,
it doesn't mean anything.
And I know that observations are meant to kind of help with that, but like
when you're not at the helm, but also, you don't feel the urgency.
But then also, I know that the pushback is you wouldn't want to do grad school in like your 5th year of teaching.
No, but I think that maybe you should have to teach for 2 or 3 years and take a break and get paid for that break to go get your master's degree. Like, but that kind of comes back to how much do we value teachers? I'm smiling.
If you're a listener,
you can't see it.
I would actually pull back because I do want to get back to your earlier point, but also you said something. I think it's not just valuing teachers; it's valuing education. Like as we mentioned, I recently watched this movie. My parents showed me this movie. It was a movie that took place in Mexico, and it's about it's on education and whatnot. These schools are closing, but it's this small town that like a bunch of kids that have no means. There's a school that's just there to uplift. And my dad wanted to show it to me as a means of like, oh, this is like, I wanted to uplift you and whatnot. Because it was a really nice story. I'll place it in the notes below later on, which movie it was. It was a good film. But the thing that like I struggle with is that like, yes, this is an uplifting film for me as an individual, but I don't think people always think about the system. It's the systemic element, and like, yes,
right.
It's not just that teachers need to be respected more. Well, because that definitely is true. We saw that whiplash that happened in 2020. The March to September whiplash. Ooh,
teachers are heroes. Teachers are the poison.
Oh my gosh, get back to work.
Yeah, right.
Lazy bums. Like, gosh.
Exactly.
But also, it's a bigger thing that it's not just that. It's also education. It's also, we need the whole thing to be better funded. And I know education takes up a big chunk of our California budget, but we kind of need more.
Oh my gosh, we totally need more. We kind of need more.
And like, if you want to think about the future generation, we need to place more money into it.
Right. And it needs to not be looked at as just a cost. This is an investment, a genuine investment. If we have a well-educated populace, we all win.
I remember, I forget who it was. I think it was Mark. I don't remember. Someone mentioned like education, unfortunately, in a capitalist system or through GDP, education will always be seen as a deficit.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating. And you just said it there. Like, we got to think of it, not just we as listeners, but we as a whole nation need to think of it. No, we are spending money so that our kids can become better people.
Yeah.
And Anyways, I got on this really big rant. You were
I know this whole episode is like
because let's be real. Because what's the stem of so many of these behaviors? It's not one thing.
No, it's not
5 things. It's not 25.
It's not, and we don't have the solutions.
We don't. No,
we have ideas,
and
we're in it with you.
And
holy moly, are we?
You mentioning BF Skinner? That's what it was like.
Yes, the functions of behavior.
Sure. I think we can definitely think. I think it's easier for us if we were a general ed teacher to really process. Okay, why is a student doing this? As a teacher that sees 400 kids, it's hard.
That's hard.
Especially, it seems like at your site, it's happening more than on my site. I'm not sure, but it's a lot. And so
it's a lot.
Really sit down and have us think about each child, and specifically our harder children. Why is that happening? Why is it our relationship with that student? Is it the environment they're in? Is it something that we have less control over?
Right. Or any.
And maybe
are they just too wrapped up in stuff when they come to school? Can we break through?
Right. Can we break through?
But we can't always.
But I think I think that thinking and processing what the problem is very important. I also question, are we really getting to know our kids as well, beyond just the music room?
Yeah.
And I think that might not solve it directly, but it will solve it indirectly. And you and I think we're both on a decent page with our kids.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing stuff, and it's like kids, as VAPA teachers, the excuse is we see so many kids. Yes, but if you don't know their names.
Oh, you got to know their names.
You got to know their names.
Also, building a relationship with them, it doesn't mean that you're investing and listening to them every single day. It's just it literally is once or twice a year you went up to them and asked them if they have a dog, or
we did a lot of that online.
Right? We did. This is very surface level here, or just hey, do you have a good evening? Oh, tell me about it. And that's it. That's the relationship building. And then write it down and then circle back to that the next day. Hey, how's that? Whatever it is you told me. And
I think we're boiling down to also, I feel like we do this decently with the kids we like.
Yes.
But do we do it with the kids that are little poops? I
call them turd monkeys.
Turd monkeys. Do they throw themselves?
You're welcome to borrow that.
That should be a shirt, maybe? No.
No.
But it's our students that are very difficult to work with and that get under our skin. I just feel like we say this every 5 episodes. Are we getting to know our kids?
Yeah.
And I get it's
all
hard.
All of them.
I get it's hard. I get this job's hard. I get post-COVID it's hard. X, Y, and Z. But if we're just focusing on our nice friends, or we're focusing on our kids that want to be there, then sure, we're going to have a great relationship and those kids are going to have a good time. But
you got to go back to why you became a teacher in the first place. If you lose sight of that, you really let go of all of it. And I can't speak for everybody, but I know I went into this because I genuinely believed that I could make a difference in some lives. And if I lose sight of that, then I get burned out real fast. Yeah.
And I remember we actually recorded we had an episode where we actually split it up into some reels about why are we educators.
Yeah, why'd you go into this?
And why
are you still in it? We should do an update.
Why am I still in it?
Yeah.
Why are you still in it, Crystal Pridmore?
Why am I still in it? I want to mold that over a little bit more. But
okay.
I mean, because I still am not done giving kids the opportunity to do something great and to be something great.
For me, it's twofold. And I still think it's twofold. One, it's because I believe in this profession. I believe that we can uplift every voice. We can give kids the means to creativity. And especially as in a society where depression, anxiety is just, I feel is fed from a lot of consumerist elements to create is a great way to push back against that.
Oh, I love that.
And also I believe that, as I mentioned in the earlier video, the arts have always been for the wealthy.
Yeah. Yep.
And as an educator,
middle finger to the man.
But it's in a way, because even as we've pushed away and we've gone away from the courts and gone away from Mozart being hired by the kings royalty. And the royalty, we still also kids still believe that oh, making music is not for me.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
It's not.
It's meant for everyone. Music and the arts are meant for all. And so as educators, we need more educators that, and at least for myself, like I am still an educator because I want to make sure that kids know that art is not for just what they pop in on Spotify. Yeah. It's not for some rando to play and listen. It's not for those who have the means to do, but it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're an amazing singer.
Preach it.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for all of that. And also I've kind of done some figuring out about what it is that I do as a music teacher, especially at the elementary level, teaching everybody. They did not elect to be in my class. They just landed in my class. And it's like, I'm not going to get anybody proficient on a violin or a guitar or even an ukulele. I'm the intro, and all I need to worry about is being the first person to put one of those things in their hands and say like, hey, you can play this, you know? And even understanding what that instrument is and how it feels to hold it and what the potential is, that's powerful stuff because it helps somebody dream, and you don't know what you can do unless you know what's possible. So that's what we do. Yeah.
We do cool stuff.
We do really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I know. And it's so easy to get all up in your head about the hard things, but at the end of the day, they are real. But at the end of the day, we are serving a much bigger purpose, and we cannot lose sight of that. I really want to leave with 3 things on this conversation. It's been a really good one. Thank you for unpacking all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little, I wanted to circle back around to restorative justice because you had mentioned that briefly, and I have some tools that I use with RJ, and I want to share that with our listeners. And then I want to talk about what?
I thought about it. The kid named RJ.
Okay. So, yeah. Restorative justice.
Gotcha.
And then you with me?
I'm with you.
Awesome.
It's been a long day.
Great. It has been a long day. Behavior issues.
Indeed.
I've heard. Yes. he was crawling in the door, you guys.
12 minutes of a kid crying.
It's rough. It's hard. It's emotionally taxing.
Yes, it is.
I wanted to talk about responding in the moment as well. And then I just wanted to leave off with some hope. I didn't want to leave this in the dark, although I really liked the direction we were going earlier. Yeah. So, okay. You know, before I get to restorative justice, let's talk about dealing with your most obstinate kids. This has been life-changing for me. Okay, here's a little phrase that I want you to tuck in your head. When you're dealing with an oppositional kid, statements are their fuel, but questions are their kryptonite. So statements are the fuel for the opposition, but questions are the kryptonite. And here's what that looks like.
Listening.
Okay, so you tell a kid, Sebastian, sit down, right? No, you can't make me. And then go back over, and then you get into, no, I said sit down. I said sit down right now. No, yes, you're in a power struggle, right? And so instead, go up, get everybody else doing what it is they need to do. Go up to Sebastian, kind of get down low. Hey, you feeling okay today? Oh, okay. Can you tell me if there's anything preventing you from sitting down right now? Okay, you just don't want to? Okay, well, you're right, I can't make you, but I believe in you, and I think that you can do the right thing, and so I'm going to go back up and teach, but you let me know when you're ready, and if I can do anything to help you out, and then out. And then end with a one-word answer, like, thanks, and then get out of there. Like, don't have a big, long conversation about it. Don't turn it into a power struggle, but it does 2 things. It diffuses the emotions. And when they're being obstinate, they're in their amygdala. They're in fight or flight. And so the questions force a person up from their amygdala into their thinking and processing part of their brain. That's the midbrain. And then if you can end with something about like, I believe in you, that gets them into their prefrontal cortex of like, be part of the social group. And we welcome you to be a part of the society. Yeah, and so that's the progression. I like that. I also like that you went deeper into questions, because when I first heard question, I thought like, oh, what's wrong with you?
Well, I mean, like 2 tiers down, but still not as deep as what you were saying. But more so like, yeah, a lot of times people ask questions about the behavior, but rather questions about, hey, how are you?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Right. Well, that's restorative justice.
Exactly. But I think that needs to be said because some people forget that. Some people miss that. So
it's not necessarily so, and that goes back into functions of behavior, right? Why is Sebastian refusing to sit down? Is he avoiding? Does he not feel safe? Does he want access to something different? Is he bored and he's looking for stimulation and maybe he just wants to pick a fight? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So I wanted to get into restorative justice. So here's what it is,
Go for it.
this is what we know now works better to help kids get into their thinking processing brain out of their amygdala. The old way where we just punished kids, and that's fear that keeps you down in the part of your brain where you can't think and you can't learn. That doesn't serve anybody. And so restorative justice is an attempt to help kids process the whys and the hows to be a good human being.
Right.
And so there's 5 questions, for restorative justice conversations. I have them on a little note card and I wear them with my lanyard.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's 5 questions. So if something happens, like somebody throws a basketball at somebody's head on the playground or whatever.
First question is, why are you like this, Samantha?
Right. Why? What were you thinking? So you've got 5 questions for the offender and 5 questions for the target. So this is the questions for the offender. Like, what happened? You separate the children. Yeah. What happened? What were you thinking at the time? And I add, how were you feeling at the time? What have you thought about since then? Who's been affected by what you've done and in what way? What do you think you need to do to make things right? And then you put the onus on them to fix what they broke. And then for the target, you just shift it a little bit and you add some questions about like, how were you feeling when that happened? What do you need to feel safe?
What do you do when the student either gives you an answer that either does not respond or gives you an answer that's coy?
I say, hey, you know what? I've been your teacher for a while, and I know that it looks like you're not in the right place to talk to me right now, and that's okay. So why don't we just go sit and calm down somewhere? You can choose to talk to me, or if you want to go talk to the principal or talk to, and I name other teachers. They're all on your team. We're happy to sit down with you. Maybe you want to go talk to the counselor, and give them some space. I just try to be real with them. That's the other, like, you cannot be fake even a little bit because kids can't smell that.
Oh, kids know. Especially the ones that have been through this whole process where they're the ones that are, we mentioned the smart ones that are this, like, they know what's up. They know when you're being real and they know when you're being fake.
They do.
And
you can't be fake.
Yeah.
Okay, one more trick I wanted to end with.
Go for it.
This has really saved my skin. There's an older book. It's called Conscious Classroom Management by Rick Smith. It's really good. If you haven't read it, I cannot recommend it enough. But there's an image in that book and a suggestion he makes for like when you are facing an oppositional child and they are just coming at you, like you feel that, right? And it makes your heart rate accelerate and it dysregulates you. And that's hard. Because then you can feel your control slipping away, and that's not a good feeling for anybody. He talks about comparing it to an ocean wave. I love to swim in the ocean. San Diego girl. Oh,
yeah.
100%.
During the tornadoes.
Don't do that during a tornado.
Don't. But ill-advised.
Anybody who's ever swum in the ocean knows if you try to go to that wave head on, you get knocked on your butt on the sandbar, and it's not a pleasant experience. You can't swim into the wave. You have to go under the wave. Or
attempt to swim over.
No, you get flipped over and sucked out in a rip current if you do that. No, you got to go under the wave, and then you end up in the calm waters. And then it's peaceful out there. And so like you can't head off when somebody's coming at you. And so he suggests that you dive under the wave. And I painted a wave. And I have it on the wall at the back of my classroom. And it's like directly within my line of sight for where I stand most when I'm teaching. So if I feel that coming, I just look at my wave and I think about going under the wave. So,
or you're going to be pushed down.
Yeah. Don't head it off. Just take a deep breath and stay relaxed because the most relaxed person in the room is the one who's going to be most in control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're de-escalating, you have to be centered.
You have to be centered because they will co-regulate with you. So if your heart rate is accelerated and you're yelling, then that energy is going to transfer to your children. If you're calm, like it or not, as the teacher, we control the weather.
We do.
Yeah. There you go. Good talk.
Good chat. And I know that there's a lot of behaviors out there. So like, if you have any thoughts on this topic, please, by all means, you can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com. Let us know. I know it sounds like, oh, put a plug here. Yeah. But also, seriously, we're really curious what your thoughts are.
We really are. Yeah. And we're normal people and we live your life.
I'm mostly normal.
Okay. Anyway, yes, I have a spiccato after the break.
I want to take a quick break and thank my husband, Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information.
I was going through our spiccatos and I was actually shocked that we haven't done this one yet.
We haven't done this after our left turn, though.
Oh.
Because the rigmarole. Thank you so much, everyone who has, you heard my voice change. Thank you, everyone who's been with us for this long journey for 88 episodes, which is awesome. But you know what? What will help this community grow is to make sure you leave us a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. I know you, Jamie. You, Sandra. Maybe Sandra. I don't know. But if you are still watching this, please leave us a comment. Make sure you like that video. It will help us make sure you spread the good and chaotic harmony word. Also, you leave us a review on either Spotify or Apple. We only know what 5 means. So give us a 5, please. And as you mentioned earlier beforehand, if you want to contact us, you can contact us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com. Lastly, don't forget, we have a Patreon. We'd love to have you part of it. If you sign up, you have some cool merch that we have had some lovely people like Michael and Jamie and that have shared their little pictures of what they've received. So please, by all means, check us out. Patreon.com/thclassroom. Thank you. But now I hear you have a spiccato.
I do.
Awesome.
I do. Okay, so I only had fake ones that we can play with right now, but flowers.
Flowers.
What would you do with flowers? Silk ones or real ones?
Eat them.
I mean, some of them are edible.
Of them are. Yeah. Well, these are very colorful. If you're not watching this, we got red and purple.
A little red rose.
I am so sorry, Christy. I do not know what these things are. Can you tell me the Latin name for these, please?
Oh.
She can name the Latin ones.
I love that. They're left over from a Frida Kahlo Halloween costume from one year. I was Frida Kahlo and Brian was Salvador Dali.
Nice.
It was awesome. And we found a whole group of boys dressed as Bob Ross to hang out with. It's great.
I feel like the texture of these flowers play a role, and having them like touch the texture, and then having them transfer that to their body. Mm-hmm. So how can you then move to that? And then how can you sing that? I've always had, like, I mentioned this before, but with something like one of my biggest aha moments was when kids were in choir. And they were just like, how am I supposed to sing this part? It's like, remember when we dab the little dots? Sing like that more. And so instead of saying staccato, they give them different, movement or texture. So
since a flower feels silky,
or in this case, since it's synthetic, a little more rough.
Okay.
I'm sure also if you touch the stems, you'll have a different kind of texture. If there's a little bit of the sap that's coming out, I'm sure that will also give you
sticky.
So yeah, this could be transferred to movement and then transferred also to how we sing.
Yeah. I like it.
How about you? What would you do with these flowers?
Well, I do a couple of activities where we go outside and we use little leaves and flowers that we find on the ground, like the dandelion buds, which are everywhere right now because of all the rain we've had. We use them for notation.
Nice.
Tas and TTs, obviously.
Obviously.
Also, one of my favorite books that I read to the kids is Rita and Ralph's Rotten Day, and I have a whole lesson based on that, which is available to our Patreon subscribers. And it's how I introduce the Orff instruments to the little ones, and which notes are high and which are low, and going up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. And Rita and Ralph meet in the middle because their houses are on two little hills, but they meet at the apple tree in the middle, and they make daisy chains together. And a lot of my friends have never made daisy chains, so I teach them how to make daisy chains with the dandelions, and it's awesome because then they all leave wearing necklaces of little dandelion buds, and then when they're making the daisy chains, we use them for movement. So we lay out a chain of little flower buds in a long line, and we move like our lines, and then we can also use them for melodic contour. So we sing with the lines, like woo, with the different shapes.
Cool.
It's fun.
Awesome.
And if it's a pretty spring day and the children need to be outside, let them. That's what I say.
And if it's a rainy spring day,
shove them outside anyway.
You're going to have fun and I'm going to have fun. Bye.
Bye. Love you.
What would you do? Listeners, what would you do with flowers, be it synthetic or living or formerly living? I guess if you pluck it out, it's not living anymore. I don't know. Is that correct scientifically?
I have no idea.
Let us know.
I would
also.
imagine it's still okay. Maybe there's a scientist listening.
I'm a musician, not a scientist.
We can only count to 8.
And we can only count 5 also. Remember?
Yes, that's true. Okay, cool. I do have a round of the week. Round of the week. This is a classic one.
Classic.
Classic.
We haven't done it yet?
Yeah.
Surprise.
I've got 2 that we haven't done that we really need to.
Okay.
So this is an old sea shanty. Turn the glasses over. Do you know this one?
If I hear it.
I've been to Harlem, I've been to Dover, I've traveled this wide world all over, over, 3 times over. Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over. Sailing east, sailing west, sailing over the ocean. Better watch out when the boat begins to rock, or you lose your girl in the ocean.
By the way, it's orange juice they're talking about drinking.
Totally.
Orange juice.
Yeah, this definitely did not originate in pubs. May I borrow your empty glass right there?
Well, certainly.
Because, swig. All right, so.
Swig. Orange juice.
I use this song to teach the cup song. And I go clap, clap, conga drum, pick it up, move that cup and don't mess up. And then we get it going in the circle. So I've been to Harlem, I've been to Dover, I've traveled this wide world all over, over, 3 times over. Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over. Sailing east. So you get it. Yeah. Right? Shall we echo?
Let's echo.
I've been to Harlem, I've been to Dover.
I've been to Harlem, I've been to Dover.
I've traveled this wide world all over.
I've traveled this once again.
I've traveled this wide world all over.
I've traveled this wide world all over.
Over, 3 times over.
Over, 3 times over.
Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over.
Drink what you have to drink, turn the glass over again.
Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over.
Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over.
Sailing east, sailing west.
Sailing east, sailing west.
Sailing over the ocean.
Sailing over the ocean.
Better watch out when the boat begins to rock, or you lose your girl in the ocean.
Better watch out when the
boat begins to rock.
Or
you lose your girl in the ocean.
You have the words on you.
You know what? I have a slightly different version that was in our round book. So I'm singing it just a little bit differently.
That's fine.
Okay.
Is it the pitches or is the words?
It's the words. Yeah, the words do change slightly.
Well, if I make a goof, I make a goof.
All right, you know what? We're just going to go for it.
Chaotic harmony.
That's right. Here it comes. I've been to Harlem.
Okay.
I've been to Harlem. Harlem, I've been to Dover. I traveled this wide world all over, over, 3 times over. Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over. Sailing east, sailing west, sailing over the ocean. Better watch out when the boat begins to rock, or you lose your girl in the ocean. They like crammed more words in there at the end.
Syllables.
I know. Syllables.
All right.
Or you lose your girl in the ocean is how I end it.
Pretty girl. It's just, girl.
Yeah, whatever.
Kid.
Yeah,
Person.
I know. They think that part's hilarious every time. It kills. I have been to Harlem. I have been to Dover. I have traveled this wide world all over.
So that's where we're going to
You can come in on 2 or you can come in on 4. It's up to you. I've been to Harlem, I've been to Dover, I've traveled this wide world all over, over, 3 times over. Drink what you have to drink and turn the glasses over. Sailing east, sailing west, sailing over the ocean. Better watch out when the boat begins to rock, or you lose your girl in the ocean.
Or you lose your girl to the ocean.
That's gorgeous. That's the best one we've ever done.
Crushed it.
Crushed it. Oh, good luck out there.
Thank you.
With all of your behavior issues in your classroom.
In your classroom, all around. If people wish to find you, Crystal, and say hello,
you can Google my name
Google your
and
name.
find me on all the things, or at crystalpridmore.com.
There we go. And you can find me at johnseligman.com or on the socials, Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman. Also us at CH Classroom, and email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com. Thank you so much, friends.
Bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore and Jonathan Seligman. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
I remember I saw
When you get
several
up out of
posts
chairs.
on like, dude, dear people in their 30s, you're not old. I was like, I don't know. I feel old though. I feel old.